Hi and welcome to the walkthrough video for Vengeful strings, a violin, viola, a cello and a double bass sampled with plenty of unusual articulations as you might noticed. There's a lot to get through, so let's just start with the ordinary sustains for each instrument. All of us are recorded dry and mono, but in this walkthrough I put a bit of reverb on the instruments and panned them to make it a little easier to tell which is which. These are all solo instruments, but the unison control fakes a section of 3 instruments simulated by the transposition trick. There's also staccato, turn off the simulated legato to play each instrument polyphonically. All instruments have sul ponticello, sustains and shorts, which get, as someone testing the viola said, quite austere. Everything's recorded without vibrato, and controllable vibrato can be applied to almost any technique except for certain harmonics which are impossible to play with vibrato in reality. Some also have extra sul ponticello variations. The bass has molto sul ponticello. Each articulation is on a key switch, but there are also single articulation patches if you like having a separate MIDI track for each. The viola gets sul ponticello staccatissimo, very short shorts. There's also sul tasto sustains and staccato. Not a lot of people sample staccato played sul tasto, but it's a very cool sound in low register of the viola. It's kind of like a gritty sigh. The viola also has fat sustains, basically a warmer sound playing higher up the neck on lower strings, which is a very typical violaism. There's spiccato everywhere, of course. The violin, viola and bass also get spiccato played with the tip of the bow. Cello and bass get ghost spiccato, which is spiccato played with the string muted instead of fingered. I'd usually play this for throwing in extra rhythmic accents between or before regular spiccato notes on gigs with no drummer where I was bowing and I want to add some rhythmic interest, but you can also use it by itself as a kind of a bitey little sound with little or no pitch content. Each instrument also has tremolo, each with its own character. On the viola, the first stroke is a sort of a little preparatory swing, though you can skip that with the tremolo start control if you don't want it. Except for the bass, you also get tremolo sul ponticello. On viola, it's also got that longer first stroke, but it's much faster than the regular viola tremolo. And violin also has tremolo bursts, recorded mostly for layering purposes, but turned out to be a great dramatic sound on its own. Then, getting a little weirder, everything gets jette, which is many bounces of the bow in each note. This is, of course, really cool with unison turn up, because then you get 3 layers which aren't in sync with each other. Play a chord for even more, and it's just a big impressive sound. The cello and bass also get ghost jette played on the muted string. The violin instead gets ricochet, which is similar to jette, but it's just a few very quick bounces. There is colle, French for glued, a very forcefully bowed sound. The simulated legato works with all techniques, including the weirdest ones, and if you ever wondered why you'd want colle legato, well, mash your hand down on the keyboard and you get these big aleatoric effects. Next, pizzicato with the violin and viola getting one basic variation. Cello and bass get pizzicato plucked with the side of the finger like a jazz bassist, plus ghost notes. The bass also gets fat pizzicato plucked closer to the middle of the fingerboard with 3 fingers with its own ghost notes. And the bass also has various string muting, slap and body percussion noises shared by all 4 pizzicato key switches. With the bass pizzicato you can also bring in an extra mic pointed right in the fingerboard for more dirt and noise and release noise samples. The violin and viola have artificial harmonics. Everybody gets natural harmonics, which is where vibrato has no effect. And there are unclean harmonics where the fingering starts correct but then slips. Again, no vibrato. These vary a lot. On violin there's steady glides, and on bass they descend into screeching. Cello also has an extra variation, which are basically edited versions of the same samples, getting to the slippage more quickly. And bass also has natural harmonics played pizzicato. There's 2 varieties of spectral scrubs for the violin and 1 each for the viola and cello. Wind noise, basically quick bowing with very little bow weight and the string muted, is included except for the viola. There's a little pitched content, but it's sampled chromatically and you can kinda sorta play melodies with it. Then there's special stuff unique to a particular instrument. Bass also gets diagonal bowing, which is sort of like a slower version of a single stroke from a spectral scrub. It's kind of noisy and breathy. There are chops and ricochet chops, noisy, unpitched sound effects techniques. The ricochet chops are not a good candidate for unison. It turns them into giant insects running around under your floorboards. The violin has a noises patch with 2 kinds of chops, ghost pizzicato, bowing the body, and percussive noises. The viola gets body bowing, tailpiece bowing, and percussion. Finally, the viola gets col legno battuto, the least favorite technique of many string players who don't want to damage our bows by smacking the strings with the wood part, but the violist likes it and wanted to record it, and I was like, great, I'll take it. So that's all the techniques, but it's not all the features. You also get layering patches. You can layer 2 longs together and crossfade between them. The wind noise articulations are really cool here. Blend them with sul tasto for a flautando sound. You can also put a short layered note stud, which will let you simulate marcato. Or do really weird stuff. You can also layer a short with another short, for example, to create more flavors of spiccato by using jette or ghost spiccato starts with regular spiccato tails. Or, well, really weird stuff. This is like some distant ancestor of the trumpet, which didn't quite get the design right yet. The bass also has a key switchable pizzicato only patch, and the cello has 2 extra cyborg patches, which are basically subtractive synthesizers using bowed string waveforms as oscillators, and these get their own video. For this video, that's it. You can buy all the Vengeful strings at Karoryfer.com. If you like them, tell a friend. If you like them and you don't have any friends, tell an enemy. And thanks for watching.